Chris, no, it's not going to. It's going to go on YouTube. So I'll put it on YouTube for people to find. I'll send the link through Instagram. It'll be a little long for Instagram. Instagram only allows up to, I think it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes and they cut you off. So I'll put it on the YouTube. See where we're at. People are trickling in. We'll just give it to we'll give it to 7:05. All right. We got people trickling in. You guys can just stare at my pretty face till then.
Pretty is debatable.
Ah, there he is. There he is. Jump on in, buddy. Matt, what's up? I recognize some of you guys from the Instagram. We got Brian from Omnia and Ashland. What's going on, buddy? Adam, Jason, Greg, Dustin. Thank you guys for coming. Danica, Cisco. Dan's a great name. Oh, Chris Crisco. I don't know if we should let him in here. I don't know if we let Crisco in here. I don't know.
To that jet ski photo, I feel like it's obligatory.
Yeah, no doubt. He's back at his desk. Is that Leo? What's up, Leo?
You can't hear Daniel saying what's up.
Yeah, buddy. I'll see you on Saturday for your birthday, bro.
He's doing his homework.
Oh boy.
You want Daniel?
Start here in 1 minute. All right. Not a bad showing for the first one on short notice, guys and girls. Got 25 participants, and we should start. So there's really no run of show to this. This is the first kind of webinar. I've been thinking about doing it for a really long time. One of the things, if you don't have your mic muted, just I might go around and mute you guys. So just keep it muted till the question and answer period, which will be coming up in about 20 or so minutes. So one of the things that I'm passionate about and that I've been toying around with the idea of doing is building community around a group of individuals that can help each other hold each other accountable. So during my playing career, it was we always used to kind of go into the rink and gripe begrudgingly about, number one, how difficult our job was, how amazing our job was, but griping nonetheless, because it was a job just like anything else. It just so happened to be that, we were playing a game and we'd have to perform in front of 21,000 people or so every night. But it was definitely on days we would giggle and get in the room. And some days you don't want to go. You just straight up, even if you're a professional hockey player, you do not want to get up. You do not want to go in. And one of the main drivers of, especially in the summer, when you're kind of on your own, for me personally, I'm just speaking from my own experience. I'm sure other guys had different experiences, but if I knew that guys were at the rink and I told them that I was going to be there and we were going to train, it would hold me accountable. And so, one of the things that I've been curious of doing is starting this little broadcast channel. It's since, ballooned into over 500 people now. And I myself and Chris, we live close to each other. And one of the things I've been doing, and I haven't done it consistently enough, is, trying to get up. Hey, Wiz, what's up, buddy? Trying to get up at, 6 a.m., knowing some days that he was here at my door really helped me get up. Right. So this community aspect of supporting people, so showing up and then holding each other accountable. We're going to try to do that through a number of different ways. This is kind of the first piece to it, if you will, of number one, it allows me a platform to talk to individuals about, what has saved my life, what I've learned along the way. But it also, keeps me accountable. Like I've really been looking forward to putting these things on. I've been talking about it for a long time. And one thing that I've learned, everybody always has great ideas. But the people that win are the ones that just execute and just put everybody into a spreadsheet, send a MailChimp email. The first time that I've ever done that, from a spreadsheet of 1,800 people. Stayed up the last 5 nights past midnight watching my kids alone. Wife's in Chicago, but I have a very singular focus on just wanting to get this off the ground. So that's kind of the overview. One of the things that we will constantly do, guys, is like I'm not the CEO or the executive director or like running this thing. I'm going to kind of bring everybody together. We're going to have different speakers. We're going to talk about different topics. And then once these ideas kind of get flushed out about the pillars of what this community actually is by everybody's input, we'll solidify that and we'll keep it simple. I wasn't, some of you guys know me from hockey. I wasn't the most skilled guy. And coaches would always tell me, keep it simple, stupid, don't do fucking too much. Do not, play out of your britches, so to speak. And so, Chris has been really instrumental. Wiz, Cody, friends of mine that I've been able to bounce these ideas off of, and you're going to hear from them in the weeks to come. I've been instrumental about, what this could be, because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And organizing my emotional intelligence, Matt Picard as well has been a big part of this, but organizing my emotional intelligence to try to teach that to others. The only way I know how to do it is by what you guys see on Instagram and stuff, is like just getting on a camera, talking about it, and kind of executing on those ideas. So what I thought I would do is just give everybody, if you haven't heard my story, I'll just give everybody an overview of kind of where we are today. And then that will lead into, and I'll kind of screen share and do some other things. I used to be called Car Bomb during my career. Sometimes I get called Danny Dex now in my business career, because I do like to communicate through presentations and decks. And so I'll run you guys through a few pieces of what we've been creating. But I retired from the NHL in 2015. I fought 164 times, won 2 Stanley Cups with the Chicago Blackhawks, 7 diagnosed concussions, and for all intents and purposes, I was an enforcer. I went hard on and off the ice. I'll touch a little bit on my early career, kind of growing up in Canada, farming town, Italian parents, pretty strict in many ways. And I always just found going to the rink was this way of leaving life behind. I was always a little bit uncomfortable with life. Didn't really understand it, asked a lot of questions that people don't want to kind of answer, which is like, how did we get here? Where are we going? Who made it? What's going to happen? Type of thing. And so when I got on the ice, school, life, friendships, I was a bit of a dork. I was a straight A student. And a bit of a nerd in school, to be honest. Bullied up until about the 7th, 8th grade, when I started to get really good at hockey, because I played double A instead of triple A, which all the best kids in Canada were playing. It was just a fucking amazing anger management tool for me. The fact that you can, put your shoulder through some of these kids that were just touching a puck and make them quit, test their will to kind of go on, I was really attracted to. For whatever reason. And so, played up, usually a couple years older with my brothers, which was a little bit embarrassing for them. Sorry, Paul. Eventually moved away from home at 15 years old. Got drafted at 17, turned pro at 19. So I was walking the halls of high school, drafted, and really just set out on my pro career at 19. Now the reason I talk about this is because I carried a lot of baggage into my pro career. I was a 30 goal scorer every single year. I got drafted 73rd overall in the country, well, across the world to the NHL. And I definitely didn't get drafted as a fighter. But some things happened in junior with hazing. I'm sure some of you are familiar with what I've taken a stance against, and it really turned me, now that I look back on it, into this person that I know as Car Bomb for the first, for my whole career, but for the first 6 years, I went fucking hard on and off the ice. And my goal, and I really relished hurting people, to be quite honest with you. And also hurting myself, like just wanting to feel a certain way, a different way. I abused alcohol, I abused pills, I abused pretty much anything that I could get my hands on. And I actually, this is a little known fact, but my first introduction to kind of recovery, which inherently would then save my life, fast forward to 25, but at 21 years old in Arizona, signed the biggest contract of my life, and got pulled over drinking and driving. Passed every sobriety test, tip of the cap, but couldn't pass the blood work. And so ended up getting a DUI. Wayne Gretzky was my coach at the time. Had to go serve 90 days in jail at the end of the year. And it was a pretty big wake up call, because that put me into the substance abuse program. Anytime you get a felony, you're stuck there. And so had to clean my act up, had to really look internally a little bit into why I was acting the way I was acting, but I didn't change. I was ended up getting traded to Philly. And when I went to Philly, doctors were freely prescribing, this is through the opioid epidemic, freely prescribing opiates and muscle relaxers and anything that we wanted. So that was a really nice feeling. Had a ton of surgeries. I tore my abdomen off my pelvis, so I had to get that stapled back together. Had orthoscopic hip surgery. 5 of my concussion came in the first 6 years. Numerous like ankle, neck tears, etc. And the bulk of my 164 fights were within that 6-year period. So basically all my injuries, all the bad stuff, never really made the playoffs. And at 25, because of that opiate addiction, had to ask for help. It was the first time that I ever kind of broke down, asked for help. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so that DUI ends up, coming full circle, saving my life because of this substance abuse program. And I knew exactly where to go. So I went to Malibu. I was fully detoxed when I got there. And so I spent 30 days learning about meditation, learning about breath work, learning about, I've got a bunch of books here. One of the best books that I have is called The Joy of Living, where it teaches you about how to meditate throughout the day, just being present in the present moment, which is exactly what you have to do. You just didn't really know about it when you're actually playing hockey. There's beers, there's good looking women in the stands. And when you put your stick on the ice and that puck drops, everything fades away. And I'm sure that many of you have experienced this while you're working, if you're in a zone, maybe while you're working out, where kind of time dilates. It's almost very similar to what some of this medicine work or medicine journey work and psychedelics is like. And so, learning about that stuff, learning that I didn't need Ambien to put myself to bed, was super impactful for me. And that kind of just started to scratch an itch of living a different way. My last 5 years in the league, from 25 to 30, I went to the Stanley Cup finals 4 times with 3 different teams. I won twice with Chicago, and I lost with the Rangers, and I lost with the Flyers in 2010. I say that because I started living the right way. And a lot of things changed in my life. A lot of things, I didn't have any injuries, but I did get 2 more concussions. One of my best friends passed away in the last year of my career. My son was born November 2014, which was, I've always wanted to be a dad, always loved kids, and Austin came into our life. My friend Steve Monitor, who actually helped me get kind of clean and sober at the 25-year mark, passed away. He had CTE, stage 3 CTE all over his brain. He had 19 concussions. I watched the Blackhawks clear him for 4 concussions in a little over 12 weeks, which killed him. And then I got my 7th concussion in a fight in Philadelphia. And so, Nikki, I'm just going to mute you. I saw a lot of the same symptoms in myself after that 7th diagnosed concussion, and I made a decision. No medical professionals helped me do it. I made a decision to walk away from the sport. Posted a video today. It's obviously Brain Injury Awareness Month, so it's fitting that we're doing the first one here. And I was just a shell of myself, man. I had doctors telling me I had mild dementia. I was suffering from slurred speech, headache, head pressure, impulse control issues.
He went to 4 Stanley Cup finals. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna find who's speaking, and I'm gonna
Unbelievable.
hold on a sec. If you guys aren't muted, try to just mute your mic. But I'll try to talk over you. I'll start over with the symptoms: slurred speech, headache, head pressure, insomnia, impulse control issues. The email that I sent, that was the before and after, 6 months before, 6 months after. Appetite loss, memory loss, short-term, long-term, tons of weight loss. We had anxiety, depression on top of suicidal ideation. For the first 2 years, I listened to what the white coat said. I had all the means in the world and all the best doctors around me. And so I took the pharmaceuticals and took the Wellbutrin and took the Zoloft and took the Xanax bars and everything that they were prescribing me for anxiety and depression. And all of these things, either exasperated other symptoms or made my stomach hurt, or I lost more weight. And it wasn't a good scenario for me to be in on these types of pharmaceuticals, legal methamphetamines and such, because of my past, opioid use. So I decided to stop that after 2 years. When I came off of those medications, I went cold turkey, had a few seizures. In 2017, that was kind of like just coming out of the seizures, was when I started reading about the study at Imperial College of London, seeing a brain under fMRI with psilocybin in a brain that wasn't on psilocybin. What you see are all these brain connectivities happening, right and left brain hemispheres communicating. And luckily, I'd been to a few concussion, stroke rehabilitation centers, CTE brain banks, where I've held brains and I've talked to medical professionals. And one of my skill sets is attention to detail and listening. You tend to pick that up when you're moving 35 miles an hour on the ice and there's no out of bounds, et cetera, and people are trying to take your head off. And I thought, wow, that was the first thought that I had, where I was like, man, maybe that could work. And so I started to, I kind of put it, for some reason I didn't act on it in 2017. Continued on my path of being pretty negative, being stuck in a victimhood mindset, blaming everybody, like the league, and just being frustrated, angry, and sad. Had a few more buddies that passed away. Ray Emery, rest in peace. And guys were making some pretty rough decisions, and I always had this hope that hopefully I'd get better. And so, I continued on a path of trying hyperbaric chamber, self-deprivation tanks, which is float tanks, Mox acupuncture, reflexology, cranial sacral, anything that I could do to kind of get a handle on my symptoms. At this point, I'd spent $500,000 of my own money. And I was getting to a point where, I know that the perception out there is that, hey, Francisco, can you mute, I don't know why I can't mute you, but would you be able to mute your mic, please? And so there we go. Oh, no. Hold on one second. Oh, that's, yeah, of course it's you, Wiz, watching the Florida Panthers game. Heard the Barkov resets. So where was I? Let me think about where I was. Hold on. So the self-deprivation tanks, all of the things to manage symptoms, spent about $500,000 of my own money up to this point. So I was 4 years in, pretty deep. A lot of people are going to hear and they're going to see videos of me going to these concussion facilities, and a lot of these facilities have used, my platform to kind of, for me to be a poster boy of these facilities. They work, and I would recommend them to teenagers and to any adults that can't use psychedelics, or minors that can't use psychedelics. But for the adults, what I would say is use them sparingly. Make sure that these facilities are charging insurance for what they can charge insurance for. A lot of them just want your cash. So to give you a sense of what I was paying was about $1,500 a day for 3 treatments. What they would say to me is they can identify areas of my brain shut down due to trauma, and then they can wake them up with these exercises. and I thought it was great, and I bought into it for a very long time. But what those things did was just basically manage my symptoms for the week that I was there, and then all of the work that I did would fade away. And who the hell has time and money to go and do these types of therapies every single day of the week? We all got to work and we got lives to return to. So I started to really dive into some of the research and PubMed papers of what was going on with the psychedelics. And in 2019, when I was at my lowest, actively making plans to leave this earth, because when you're a concussion survivor, and at this time I had 3 young kids, there's birthdays and stuff, and yeah, you're just a shell of yourself. And I was an angry human being, and I wouldn't want to be around me. And you can just tell that people didn't want to be around me. And also I didn't want to be showing my kids this way of life. Like, this is not the right way to raise young children, being around my piss poor energy. So luckily, continued on, kept the faith, took a flight to Colorado, where in 2019, magic mushrooms, psilocybin, the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, was decriminalized. So you can go there, and as long as you're not paying for the medicine directly with cash, you can go there and be gifted this medicine and not have fear of any repercussion of being arrested or prosecuted. That's what decriminalized means. There's 32 states right now across across North America that are decriminalized, and 32 cities that are decriminalized, and I believe 4 to 5 states that are decriminalized. So that's one way of accessing this medicine. Okay, and so I went there, took a very, very large dose, and I think there's a bit of a misconception. We'll slow down here, because there's a misconception of what this medicine is. Yes, it can be blissful. Yes, it can work if you work it. So meaning, when people are going to take this medicine at high doses like that, the reason we do is because it gets to the root cause of our issues, and it shows us exactly what's wrong. And I'll explain that in the context of my first journey. So I was suicidal. I was going through, a ton of these symptoms, and at least I thought I was ready to let go of everything. And I wanted to be shown why I was suffering so much. And so, when we dosed, I just remember my whole body kind of convulsing, and there was a piece of me that knew that it was going to be left behind. And I'd been identifying as a victim, and in my victimhood mindset for so long, that this piece really was trying to reject it. So for the first 2 hours, it was really difficult. I was stuck in a loop, which was indicative of how I was living my life. So I was waking up every morning thinking that I was doing good advocacy work by attacking everybody as to why the league isn't talking more about concussion, attacking everybody and highlighting information about, the NFL concussion settlements, and why the league doesn't have a policy. And to date, I should say, it's not that I was completely wrong, just my messaging was wrong. The NHL is the last professional sports league to admit a link between repetitive head trauma and neurodegenerative disease. Soccer's admitted it and proven it. You're 3.5 times more likely to get dementia by heading the ball. The NFL's obviously admitted it. Equestrian sports have admitted it. Cheerleading has admitted it, but that's another topic for another day. I was really stuck in this negative mindset. And so for the first 2 hours, it had me on this farm, just walking around in a loop. I didn't quite know the individual, or obviously the farm that I was at. It was the first night. And I was in a pretty good hell, where, I was dry heaving, purging, so to speak, in energy. And this can happen. And this is why there's protocols in order to, fast and these types of things before these types of ceremonies. I had support. I had people there that, wanted to help see me through, but it was difficult work, but I was ready for it. And when I surrendered to the thought, I can't fully explain, and it's very hard. I don't think we have language to explain what happens in these hallucinations, but I'll try my best. There was a shift, just a simple thought of, you can stop walking in this loop. You can walk in a different direction, and you can just take a seat and change. And with that thought, I realized that I was creating my own hell by the way that I was living and acting. And I was able to then take a rest. I went into a different room where there was 432 hertz music playing, which is the frequency of nature, which is where mushrooms are grown and come from. They're isolated genetics. And I lied down and I looked at the two people that were there with me. And I wasn't quite fully there yet, but I remember sitting up and asking my friend who brought me there. I didn't ask him anything. He said he used to have really long hair. His name was Riley Cote, really long curly hair. When he played, he was short at this time, but he said, "This is why I wanted to bring you here, because I wanted to show you this. I wanted you to be on this team." And it really is a team because it's an inherent intelligence and technology that you use. And once you get through it, you'll understand the advantage that it gives you. And I said, "Why me? I'm such a fucking loser." And I've always had this myopic view of myself, even in hockey, that I was never good enough. Even though I was in the NHL, I was a fourth, third liner. Just these, just never good enough. And he said, "No, man." He's like, "We love you." And with that, just hearing that, I was like, "Whoa!" I just lied down, and it felt in some of these ceremonies, you'll feel unconditional love. If people have kids, it's almost as if, you're picking up your kids and you're hugging them, and that's what they feel when that's what we all felt when we were children. And or at least some of us that had good upbringings, because although my upbringing was tough, it was fucking great. My parents provided for me. I was able to play sports and we get what we get, and so with that, I lied down, and for the next hour, it was pretty amazing. The things that I saw, the things that I felt, the visions that I had, and I was out cold because the first 2 hours are so intense in about 3 hours, which isn't common, but I went right to bed. And so that was my first introduction to a therapeutic dose of mushrooms in a decriminalized city and state. And I remember waking up the next day, and I describe it as feeling the way I should. So a good day would have been 5 of those symptoms that I described before. Bad day was all of them. And there were a lot more bad days than good days. And I woke up. I remember picking up the phone, and all I wanted to do was FaceTime my kids and my wife. And she said, "Your eyes look completely different." She's like, "Why aren't you slurring?" I didn't even notice it. And I had a zest for life. I wanted to get up. The brain fog and brain fatigue wasn't there. It was a little bit, it lingers for about 24, 48 hours, mostly from the mushrooms, but I had this energy and this need or want to move, which I didn't have the day before. And so I went outside without my blockers. I had these glasses that would block even the sides of my eyes, and I forgot them. And in Denver, it's always sunny. It only rains 52 days of the year. Super sunny, usually would trigger a headache. Started walking, forgot that I didn't have them, turned back, and then realized, well, I'm fine. So the light sensitivity was immediately gone after one night's sleep. And all the other symptoms either lessened in intensity or faded away within a 2-week period. Now, these are highly stigmatized substances. These are Schedule I substances, which means they are deemed to have no medicinal value, and they are highly addictive. And I will say now that there's 3 companies that have been deemed FDA breakthrough therapy designation with synthetic analogs of psilocybin, so a synthetic derivative. There's Compass Pathway, there is Usona, and there is Cybin. Most recently, just yesterday, got approval, maybe the day before. And so what FDA breakthrough therapy designation means that they're recognizing that a substance could work really well for an intractable disease state, like treatment-resistant depression, which Compass Pathway is going after. Usona is going after major depressive disorder, and so is Cybin, same thing. Now, I think it's also really important to note that these companies are not shying away and taking the easy way out. They're not going after other indications. They're going after the sickest of the sick, because these are the individuals that are called to do this medicine work. And it's why it works so well. So if you're ready to see your trauma and not have it govern the rest of your life and rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak, these medicines can work for you. And so again, I took these diagnostics because I was familiar with these diagnostics. I was very familiar with the brain. I'm very interested in communicating a story, which is probably why I like doing decks, with solving a problem, right? Because the first thing that you say when you say magic mushrooms or psilocybin as well, those are illegal. Those are make your brain bleed, and it's not to anybody's fault. They did a really great campaign with Nixon's war on drugs, and they made us believe that. And we're now seeing in these studies that it does the exact opposite. It enhances brain connectivity, cognitive function, processing. It is a potent neuro anti-inflammatory. It's a potent anti-inflammatory in general. Psilocybin is but one compound. So when you go down the synthetic route with the FDA, you're missing and stripping probably over 100 other alkaloids and tryptamines like norbaeocystin, baeocystin, which have been proven to be great anxiolytic compounds on their own and in combination. We'll get into that a little bit later. Not on this call, but I'm sure it'll be a topic where I'll bring on a speaker who can break all of that good stuff down for us. So I took these QEEGs and I took this blood work before I left. And, you know, people have probably seen it on my Instagram. If you haven't, I'll put it in the next email that I blast out. But I retook the brain test 6 months later. And this was after two high doses, 3 months apart, and 2-week titration break, and then microdosing of a little bit of psilocybin, but also lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, chaga, agarikon, turkey tail, a minimally processed CBD, so a CBD keef. If anybody knows cannabis, when you grind or touch the bud, it's the trichomes at the end of the bud that actually have the medicine. So you know it doesn't get hot, doesn't get cold, just kind of knock off the trichomes off the plant, decarboxylated, and then put into a vegan capsule. You know that those brain scans came back with no abnormalities after 6 months of being told that I had an incurable disease called CTE, and I had mild dementia symptoms. And if anybody's listening out here and you're being told that, you have brain injury symptoms, and brain injury symptoms are curable. So, you know, just make sure that you take a step back when these doctors are telling you certain things that they can't diagnose post-mortem. The only way to definitively know if you have CTE is, and I've donated my brain, is when I die, they'll open my brain up and they'll see if I have it or not. And I can tell you right now, I definitely have it, but it's not going to kill me because of how proactive I'm being with my exercise, diet, and this medicine and supplementation routine. So no abnormalities. 6 months after, brain scans completely clear. Have those in the coffer. I take them every 6 months, still completely clear. And then blood work was completely clear as well. My blood work before, I had the free testosterone of a 72-year-old male. I had cortisol levels that were 4 times as high as a male that age at 30. And those were completely equalized. And I didn't go on testosterone or hormone replacements or go to Colombia to do stem cells. This is just because of good diet, exercise, probably because I planted 3,000 CBD plants as well. I was farming, working with plants, and mushrooms, USDA certified organic mushrooms from Oregon that are completely legal. I will say, if you're a concussion survivor and you're not mixing in lion's mane, which increases BDNF, BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It is, think of it like a miracle grow for your cells. So psilocybin has the innate ability to build these new neuronal pathways around damaged cells or pathways. You can't revive dead cells. Then the lion's mane can feed and strengthen those new neuronal pathways, which is also why this works really well for, you know, addiction or addictive behaviors. And so that was in 2020 that I received those brain scans, started down the work of policy work, got Initiative 81 passed with a few friends in Washington, D.C., and really just started to kind of cut my teeth in business because I was healthy enough to do so. First summer, I grew 750 plants, started farming CBD, made a company called Made Plant Health, started making an offering of this keef and these mushrooms. The next summer, I did 3,000 plants, 1,500 of CBG, 1,500 of CBD, planted them by hand, by myself, cut every single one out. weeded everything, and put that into the company. As I was doing that and farming on the tractor, I was also building what became WeSauna Health, put together a drug development team, and we raised $16 million off of a deck and a story and a team that could develop the method of use that I patented with my own personal money, and took that through the FDA process, took the company public. This was along a 2.5, 3 year period. Ended up selling that to a NASDAQ listed company that developed drug development program. Along the way, we also owned and operated ketamine facilities, psychiatrist led ketamine clinics, or psychiatrist led clinics that were inclusive of med management, talk therapy, and then ketamine was a tool. Expanded our location to include TMS. That was a great learning experience on the delivery of the medicine. And it was also a really trying time in my life because I got to know the pitfalls, if you will, of being in the capital markets and taking money from individuals, and a lot of lessons learned there, and not something that I will repeat for sure. And then now, working on seeing a gap, identifying a gap. We're working on helping. So there's a huge gap in FDA approved medicines. So the 37% of all FDA trials running right now are on psychedelic compounds. Not many people know that. Ketamine is approved right now. There's only 2,800 clinics that are offering it. And that's a short duration. So a very small room. This is all, I call it experiential medicine. So you experience the medicine in the clinic. This isn't go to the doctor, get a script, go to Walgreens, take it home, and it never will be. Precisely because you need support, you need a controlled set, you need a controlled setting, and you need an individual that can sit with you and monitor you with both ketamine, but more so with MDMA and psilocybin. And then, I'm sure a lot of people, if you don't know, and I'm going to try to wrap this up here to open it up for questions for at least 20 or 15 minutes. MAPS has designed and developed, raised money to get MDMA for PTSD to phase 3. They recently kind of, not closed the door, I would say, but Lykos Therapeutics, what was formerly the Public Benefit Corp, took it over down the drug development path. And there's just amazing results. I mean, you're talking about curing people 71% of the time of PTSD using MDMA. It is heavily on the talk therapy side. So over 90 hours of talk therapy over a 12-week period. And it's also, hold on one sec. Greg, I'm just going to mute you, buddy. It's so 71% of the time cures people, 12 weeks, 90 plus hours of talk therapy, only 3 administrations of the drug. And what it does, MDMA specifically, a lot of the 50% of the trial participants were soldiers, 50% were sexual abuse survivors, domestic abuse survivors. It dampens the amygdala, the fear response in the brain. And so it allows people in therapy to access their trauma without that heightened spike of emotion and without our bodies doing what they naturally do, which is trying to protect us from dying. And I'm sure if people have been through trauma, and when you talk about it, you feel like you're almost in it again. So it allows people to access that, again, rip the Band-Aid off, see it, have realizations, and then not let it govern the rest of their life. These are the drugs that are coming through the FDA synthetically. Psilocybin is next. LSD is going to be following that path. The 37% of the other trials, there's tons of them. There's DMT. There's cacti. There's ibogaine analogs. We'll get into all of that later. But what they need is infrastructure. And I'm passionate about developing and educating 3 ways. I do believe in having ownership of our own consciousness, meaning I don't believe that the government should be allowed to say that cannabis in that ditch should be illegal. And I also don't think that they should have rights to be able to do that with mushrooms, but they did it. And so, again, I do have a lot of faith that people are responsible enough to go down a decrim route, which is a grow, gather, and gift model. So I highlight those in the cities that I mentioned. I also believe in the FDA route because although that's synthetic, and that's kind of the third route that I try to highlight, because I'd rather see people take a full spectrum medicine. People need to go through their insurance plans, and people need a diagnosis. The next best drug that works for PTSD is Paxil, which works around 7 to 11% of the time. We're talking about MDMA, PTSD, working 71% of the time, and a year out, people no longer qualify for a PTSD diagnosis. It's a cure, right? So it's very different to the healthcare model or sick model, if you will, that we have right now. And then I believe in, with what a lot of people have been, what saved my life. Number one, this is number one. I believe in these adult therapeutic use frameworks set up by the states. And so that's why I offered my story to Measure 109 in Oregon. It is the first state that has that is approved for adult therapeutic use. If you're 21 and over, you can go and access this. We don't call you patients, we call you clients. It's all cash pay. You cannot use your insurance. You have a licensed facilitator that will sit with you. You have licensed service centers where you could take this medicine. You have licensed manufacturers who grow these mushrooms and test them for adulterants and heavy metals and toxins, et cetera, so they're safe. And then you have testing facilities that test the mushroom that's grown. And it's just an amazing program, and it's an amazing way that I am really getting behind because, yes, although deemed federally illegal, it's legal by the state. So you can actually talk about it openly, and it's regulated. People there are doing it the right way. This is a service-driven business. This is not easy. People that are jumping into this are not there to make money. This isn't cannabis where all the money's in the plant. All the money is in the services. And again, from what you guys heard, it is a difficult task to sit with an individual and watch them, transform. But if I could ever get addicted to anything else for the rest of my life, it is watching somebody go through a mushroom ceremony and coming out the other side of it. It is, it's the hero's journey. It is magical. And we're setting up a facility in Oregon. We're going to have some retreats here where we're partnering early on because there's a lot of individuals that want this therapy now. So stay tuned for that, for the upcoming retreats that I'll be announcing in April in partnership with myself and with a group out in Ashland. And, I just feel, pretty grateful today, that I have my health and that I could wake up every day and enjoy my family and be a big part of my kids' lives and be a part of a lot of the people that I work with that are on this call, to have like really true friendships. I'm a believe it or not, I'm a fucking introvert. But this medicine, I think it's just so important. And I really do think I found my calling. I really do think that I was put here on this earth to stick to what I know, which is recovering from concussions and from brain trauma and from being told that it's incurable, to shoving it down your fucking throat and in your fucking face to say, you're wrong. And I've showed you. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you the data. And if you don't believe that, then I will work on my language to make sure that I am the best version of myself, to be an example to all of you people that are here right now, to show you that you can get better. And that's it. That's fucking it. So
Was he military?
I will.
No, he was a hockey player.
I will open it up to
That's
questions.
Daniel Sweet. That's the guy we've been talking to.
And why don't I
He's just talking to fighter pilots now.
Why don't I start with Thomas Kilborn, and then if you guys want to, I think there's a button where you can raise your hand, but just jump in after I hit Thomas. Yeah, Dustin, you figured it out. Very inspiring story. Excellent. Your description made it sound almost like you were cured after your first session, although I doubt that was your intent. Can you speak to the process with psilocybin over the first 6 months? Yeah. So, I've been hitting kids since I was 4 years old, right? So, I don't think there's any substance on earth that cures you with kind of a one and done. What the studies are showing is, there's 2 doses of 25 milligrams from Johns Hopkins that helps people with depression. I continually work with the medicine, so it does definitely wean. Nothing lasts forever, right? But it's one part of my routine. I want to make really clear. I know I spoke a lot about the medicine, but I exercise every day. I eat well. I have, tried my best to stay away from too much alcohol intake, sugar intake, which affects the brain. And I use a lot of other, mindset routines and techniques in order to, keep myself as healthy as possible. And my supplementation routine, remains intact. And I do definitely still work with the medicine. I work with the medicine once. It's different for me now, right? I'm not sick. So I am a well person. And this is also for well people to expand their consciousness, to expand their creative processes, to, like I said, get more cognitive function. You have more access to your brain, which has been proven. And so that's how I use it now. And to just really as a tool to help me stay in the present moment. And life happens. I have 4 kids under the age of 9. I have businesses that I'm building. I have aspirations and there's stress that comes along with that. And if I can't figure it out with like cold exposure, cold tubs, diet, exercise, and it's been about, for me, usually around the 3-4 month mark. If I'm starting to get a little itchy, then I'll go back in. Specific size, I mean, it's all different. The dose size is all very different. Yeah, Greg, I'm just going to highlight your email and put you in. The dose size is dependent on, again, how I'm feeling. So, I know that there's a lot of studies out there that have been done with specific, milligram amounts, but for me, it could be different every time. And I really just kind of ask myself and ask the medicine, what do I need right now?
Good boy.
Let me see here. So Greg, I added you. Jan 2024 issue articles about concussion clinical. Call me when you can. Okay, cool. Thank you, Karen. Go to reactions in the hand raised. Yep. Nick, hold on, let me just get you. And Andrew. All right, I'll get you guys right now. Dustin, you wanna go ahead, buddy?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to thank you for doing this.
Of course.
I'm somebody who's pretty familiar with it. I think I got introduced recreationally at 19. I've had probably 7 or 8 concussions, pretty severe ones. And I just want to say, for anybody else, there's probably other people who are experienced too, but I just want to, reiterate everything that you said, and just kind of say that it really does work. And for me though, I had the privilege of living in Oregon for a little bit, and really got to be a part of all of the petitions and things to get that program going. But what would you suggest for somebody who lives in a state or an area where it's not decriminalized, where it's not legal yet, the best way to get involved with this? And do you suggest people learning how to grow on their own?
Yeah, so I mean, I probably should have prefaced all of this with I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, and I'm just talking from my own experience. And yeah, I mean, listen, I think you just have to weigh the risk, the reward, right? There's very specific reasons why I'm going to Oregon to do this. I mean, it's a fucking long flight, dude. There's no way around it. It's 10 hours of travel for me. But if I want to, there's just a lot of people that want this, and I've been talking about it for 6 years, and it's really the only way that I feel safest delivering it. But like I will say, if people are interested in growing, I mean, you can go and learn. There's nothing stopping you. YouTube tells you exactly how to do it. And there's nothing illegal about buying spores, by the way. The only time that it becomes illegal is when you dry that mushroom and it gets converted into psilocybin. So if people want to go and grow and do their thing, just look at the legalities in your state, and just know that you're rolling the dice, and you could go to jail. And lots of people have. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. Okay.
Mushrooms.
Where is, I think Sawyer, you're up.
Sweetie,
Yeah. Can you
it's
hear me?
controlled through these doctors and medical practices.
Is that you, Sawyer?
No.
No?
Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I got you. There you are.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for your time and stuff. I just want to make this short. I was just kind of curious, like what your headaches were like for starters. I guess that's been my most
In the
common
hallway.
issue. Long story short, I was in a side-by-side
Oh.
accident in 2022, and I've been told I have Lyme disease. I've been told I have everything in the books, dysautonomia, post-concussion syndrome, and I'm really going back to my basis, and the roots obviously was probably the side-by-side accident. And the only reason I asked this is because my headaches actually got worse about 4 months after the head injury. Guess just really curious what your headaches were like, if you could explain that, and then if you like have any places you recommend. If you can't say that, that's totally fine.
Yeah, so what I would say is there's actually a lot of research done on Lyme disease and psilocybin, and I can help direct you to it. I will say I've been trying to copy and paste the emails, guys, but if you guys want to get in touch with me, just email me ddcarcillo@gmail.com, and I'll add you later, just because I want to try to get to these questions, and I can't do both at once. So I can direct you to some of the research that's been done on Lyme disease. My headaches and head pressure were pretty bad, man. And I've had headaches since I was a kid. And I don't think I've ever had one since, man, since that first ceremony. I really don't. And that's just my experience. And then I'll just send you these articles. I didn't have Lyme disease. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I'll send you the studies that are being done on some of these psychedelic compounds, and they're having great results. And some people have also, like, Reddit pages and stuff are dedicated to people's stories about how they've recovered from some of these other disease states. So yeah, I'll check it out. My thing about, and again, this isn't my thing. If you can flush out inflammation, you can flush out pain, and you can probably flush out most diseases.
Right.
And what mushrooms are just potent anti-inflammatories, all mushrooms across the board, not just mushrooms containing psilocybin. So, yeah, I would take a look at that, and I'm sure there's other things to do to manage, right? Like, so I'll send you some of that information. Just email me. I put my email in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Cool. And feel better, bro. And thanks for sharing.
Of course.
All right, who else? Sawyer, you're good. Lower the hand. Feel like I'm in class. Jason, what do you got?
Hey, Dan, again, thanks for your time. As a Philadelphian, I want to apologize for what the doctors did to you.
That's all good. No, so it was actually, Philly was one of the surgeries. It was more so the Flyers, like Jim McCrossin, that was just kind of his go-to.
Yep.
And some guys were smart enough to be like, fuck that, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't need to. It's just a small labrum tear. For me, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I am a retired rugby player, 25 years. A lot of the same things that you're saying are mirrored in myself, in that, I loved hitting, I loved getting hit. That whole aspect of sport was my addiction. And, started playing full contact tackle rugby at 8 years old. And now, I just turned 50 at the end of last year, and that 25 years is catching up to me. And it's tough, and my wife sees the degradation in my memory and my my fuse, and all those things. And I need an answer, and I'm not a pill popper. I don't want to go, because everything's got a side effect, and I'd rather look in the holistic path.
Where do you live?
Right outside Philadelphia.
You should come to a retreat. You should come to the April retreat. I really do believe we could help turn your life around, for sure.
Awesome.
You have grab my email in the, did I put you on the mailing list? I think I recognize your name. No?
You probably do, but I'll shoot you one tonight either way.
Shoot me another one. It's in the chat. Make sure you download it before we.
Yeah, I'm not sure, sweetie.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it in whizzes.
Well, we got you. We got you.
Thanks.
Strange.
Okay. And I'll reach out tomorrow to you. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Zach, what you got?
All right, thanks, buddy. I just had three quick questions for you. One is, when do you think the earliest the retreat will be? Second is Dan afraid of car bomb, or have they made peace with one another?
I
my
fucking
third
love
question-
myself, dude. Yeah, man, for sure.
But are you afraid of the other side of you, or are you guys
No.
at one now?
No, so like car bomb's still in here, right? If you poke me the wrong way or you fuck around with me or you cross me, like I will try to find ways to I mean, my first inclination is to try to find ways to hurt you back. But I saw this, and Cody's well versed in this. He was instrumental in helping me through this. You know, if you want to go on a warpath of revenge, dig 2 graves. I saw that and I was like, oh fuck. And then I looked at my life the way that when I was trying to think that way. And this world gives you not what you deserve, it gives you who you are. And so I've learned that. And so although my first inclination is to fuck shit up, I try really hard not to. I try really, really hard not to. And yeah, no, listen, man, I love my life because it's led me to this, and I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm doing what I want to do. Like coming on with, what do we have? We have 36. I think we had 37 people at one point. That's amazing, man. You know, like, and so if I could, this is it. This is it. So yeah, no, I'm grateful. I've made peace with every single concussion, every single hit, every single surgery. I've taken ownership, and we're on to the best part of my life for sure. What was the first question?
First one was about the retreat, and the other question I had was, how's Downey doing since he got into it? Do you keep in contact with him at all?
I don't know, but I should reach out. I was in contact with his wife. I just wasn't healthy enough back then to like lead somebody else through this, and now I'm in a position where I'm 5 years into it, where I feel confident enough that I can do this now. So, and then the retreats, I think you asked for dates. I think we're trying to target, it's a little soonish. We might push it back, but for right now, April 9, 10, and 11 in Oregon. So, I'll send out an email about all that stuff. So cool. You got a
Awesome.
chew
Thank
in?
you.
You got a chew in, or what do you got in there? A lipper?
Yeah,
Yeah, my man.
maybe
Nice.
this will help me quit.
Yeah, I hear you. I hope that this Zoom doesn't end. I don't know if I can extend it or not, but it was only for an hour. So it might end in 1 minute, and if it does, just email me your questions, and obviously we'll pick this back up. I don't want to do one a week. I'm going to try to do as many as I can. Maybe one a night would be a decent cadence. Let's go, Karen. I think you were next. Here, I'm gonna unmute you, or ask to unmute you. And yeah, Andrew, Greg, if this kicks us off, just email me your question, okay? And I'll get to it. Go ahead,
Okay.
Karen.
Okay. So I think you figured out that I work in healthcare, right?
Yep.
Yep.
You
Okay.
gave it away.
Gave it away, huh? I'm your resident healthcare person over here. Okay. So how do we get these things, like, here I got the article here, right? And we have on here clinical applications of psychedelic drugs. And we're talking about the stuff that you've been talking about today. MDMA, a couple other things. Right now there's Schedule 1, right? If you guys don't know what Schedule 1 is, that is like all this stuff that is horrible. Heroin is in there. What's not in there is Schedule 2 means you can get a script for it. Okay, cocaine is Schedule 2. The reason why is because we use it in ER to stop bleeding and that kind of stuff. So how do we move this stuff to Schedule 2? Dan, you have any ideas? How do we do this? Besides, I know some of these drugs that we're like putting in, the studies and whatever. How do we get more of these moved into Schedule 2?
That's the only way. Is once Compass Pathway gets through the FDA with a use, and that might not even do it. So CBD and Marinol are approved. They're a cannabinoid from a synthetic. Marinol is a synthetic THC, and CBD is used for childhood epilepsy. And cannabis is still a Schedule 1. So the DEA
Yes.
has they're very tricky. That
They
being
are.
said, I think that, number one, I'm going to do diagnostics with people in Oregon, right? And so I think the
Right.
more body of work that we have to show and prove, like the same way that somebody would track a clinical trial, because I'm well versed in it,
Right.
because we introduced one, then you can take that to Congress. And, Wiz and Cody, we've been to
Right.
do 2 congressional briefings. We do advocacy at the state and the federal level, and it's just a
Right.
slog. We've got a healthcare system that's dominating, and we have a for-profit prison system, so it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
But we gotta do the work, and we educate, right? I think,
Right.
like if you look at the scheduling, there's been some studies done, especially in Europe. David Nutt, the scheduling to mushrooms does not reflect the harm. I believe it's at the lowest ER visit rates, which is mushrooms. So the safest
Right.
scheduled compound. Yeah.
Exactly. It could probably be even 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
if you look at it that way, right?
Yep.
I mean, from a pharmacy level, to me, we have like Dilaudid and that other stuff. Yeah, it should be at a 2, but these things should definitely be at a 3 or a 4. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
to me, like after like looking at your work, I would love to get this stuff out to other healthcare practitioners to show people what is going on and to help out our patients who a majority of them do have some kind of depression, anxiety, you name
Mhm.
it, all those codes after, you wouldn't believe how many people come in our ER.
Oh, I bet.
It's
bet.
crazy. It's
I
crazy.
bet.
And we need to help these people,
I agree. I think doing more of this, right? Creating a community
Right.
like this. And then I could also arm you specifically
Right.
with like decks that I've built,
Right.
that kind of show where the levels of all of these drugs are, the safety, because
Right.
once you take it, although it's not an approved drug, you take something through
Right.
phase 3 or phase 1 and get into phase 3 with the
Yes.
phase 1 healthy norms, phase 2, your population. It's
Right.
really hard but then with healthcare, you're definitely dealing with like the bureaucracy of
Right.
things. So, and I've dealt with this with the NHLPA, the NH, like, I'm like, hey guys, like this is here now, it's legal in this state, but there's these doctors are like, nope, absolutely not, Schedule
Right.
1. And so this is how I work, because then the guys, they all
Mhm.
just message me, and it's all anonymous, and they know I keep secrets, and we just help the individual right away, So
Right. But yeah, medicine is the same thing. We
Yeah.
got to keep pushing the docs for, stop giving people Dilaudid, stop doing this, stop doing that. And, believe it or not, in my field, I want to give people less medicine.
Yeah.
I want to take people off this crap,
Yeah.
and let's just get people better with other way. Like you're talking
Yep.
about talk therapy and all this other stuff,
Absolutely.
just less crap.
It's a big
seriously.
component to this. It's a big component.
It
So,
is.
Karen, can you
Exactly.
email me, and I'd be happy to
Yes.
share this information. Anybody asking
Okay.
about Alzheimer's and dementia, John Hopkins did a study on Alzheimer's. And so I tried to put the link. Let me do it again. I'll put the link in the chat. Karen, was that it, or did you have another question?
No, that's it. I'll just email you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and appreciate your question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, what do we got? Andrew, and then Greg.
Yeah, I was wondering, with this being about concussions, is it equally just PTSD? I'm a survivor of the Las Vegas concert shooting, and I know there's at least 300,000 kids that are survivors now growing up from school shootings. 22,000 people were at the Vegas concert shooting. I was just wondering, like, a lot of your talk, and I'm a huge Blackhawks fan too, by the way.
Oh man.
A lot
Go
of the
Hawks.
talk was a physical trauma, but does this stuff work the same with just PTSD without the physical concussions?
Yeah. I would say the best compound for accessing trauma that you've been through would be, I would probably recommend, again, I'm not a doctor, but would be MDMA, because it brings down that kind of fear response in the amygdala. Mushrooms can be intense. At some of these retreats outside of the country, they actually front load somebody with MDMA to calm them down, and then they give them the mushrooms so that they can see the experience, view the trauma, move past it with a little bit of a less heightened spike of emotion. That being said, I think it's all dependent on who the individual is. And if you're asking if you can recover from other traumas, with mushrooms specifically, I had sexual trauma and some hazing. I went through some pretty gnarly shit, which made me into car bomb, which I've reconciled with. But they definitely did come up in ceremony, and I had to look at it. It was hard, but you start realizing that, or you at least try to, like, for example, the trauma that I went with in the hazing for over a year made me into car bomb. Would I have played 12 years the way I had, beating people up, etc.? Would it have shown me addiction? Would I have gotten the concussions? Would I be living this life now? So you start to kind of just piece the puzzle together and be grateful for who you are. What happened to you, man, is I mean, I don't think anybody can really explain it, but if you can turn it into a positive and help other survivors, etc., I mean, maybe that's why you're here. Maybe that's why you're on this call.
Yeah, I've been trying different things as far as
concussions, suicidal
ketamine,
thoughts.
what I want to try
From
next.
playing, he had multiple
Sorry. I muted him. Go ahead.
I've tried like a stellate ganglion block injection a couple times. I've tried, and my doctors don't even want me doing that stuff, and the next thing is ketamine, at the facility. So I'm just trying all these things, but like, I don't have the money for it yet. I've lost my job. I lost my career. I lost lost my business, everything when I lost my mind. So now I'm just trying to figure out these things and just wondering if the physical trauma, like concussions, is a similar brain firing to the the PTSD or the mental trauma. Is it similar results with these things?
It is with mushrooms for sure. It is, and MDMA can show cognitive improvement as well. Can you email me, man? Because there's a couple spots. There's a couple spots on each retreat. For we have to address the social equity plan, and so just email me your details and let's talk about how we can possibly get you into one of these.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming on, man. And is that a Vegas Golden Knights hat though? What is that? You in Vegas now?
Yes. No, I'm in Chicago, but the Vegas, their first couple of games, their preseason was right before the shooting. So they've always had a connection. They've always had a connection to the survivors there. 22,000 of us. So
man,
they've always done a lot for the community.
I mean, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that we're talking about in Oregon is the state puts towards funds to address the homelessness population. And that is, again, this kind of reoccurring self-enforcing loop. You can have good loops, you can have bad loops. It would be a really interesting thing to talk to you about in depth, one-on-one.
I've always thought about the 22,000 people that were there, but then being from Chicago, all the kids growing up, that weren't at a mass shooting, but just grow up with that type of life, having that trauma in Chicago. And I've always thought about that connection to, the 300, 400,000 that are going to be growing up now as survivors of school shootings, the 22,000 that were there at the concert shooting, those mass things that people go through. Everyone's just trying to get through their day, and then shouldn't have to deal with all that.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Well, email me and let's chat. All right. And thanks for sharing. Who we got next? I think Greg, were you next? Greg, you want to go ahead? There are two Gregs? No. There you are. Hey, who wants to go next? Just jump in, buddy. Go ahead. Firewalker's phone. Who's that? No. Greg.
Yeah.
Was it Greg that was up? I think you had your hand up. Greg's iPhone? No. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy? You there? Or you're cutting out. have to drop off. Okay, no problem, buddy. Just my email's in the chat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear that guy. Yeah, Firewalkers? Or no, there's Greg. Is that you, Greg? I got you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there you
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, just wanted to say thanks for all of this and everything. The question I had is I have two kind of older school parents that may not know exactly what we're referring to when it comes to all this. And just in terms of trying to explain it more to them and have them kind of understand there's different ways to go about things than maybe what they've grown up and learned. It's just kind of almost intimidating to try and present something like this to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just curious if you have any suggestions on how to go about presenting this idea to them, really.
Yeah, they listen to doctors, right? And they listen to data. So I would so the way that I presented it to my parents.
Totally. Mom was a nurse too, so
yeah. So show them the data, dude. I'll email me and I'll just show it to you. And then try to try to black out like MDMA. Don't tell them about mushrooms. And then tell them the benefits. It makes, nicer people, helps with cognitive processing. It's a good anti-inflammatory. And then naturally she's going to be like, oh my gosh, like this sounds amazing. Like, absolutely, I want you to do this. What is it? And then tell them that it's magic mushrooms, tell them it's MDMA, and then, hit them with the stigma afterwards so that at least they listen to the information. So that's the technique that I use.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Then email me and I could give you a list. I've got a list of
yeah, absolutely. We were emailing earlier, so
cool. Awesome, buddy. Chris, you want to go ahead? Chris N.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
I was the guy on your Instagram that messaged you about carnosine.
Okay.
And I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. But I work with a wellness company called LifeWave.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of it. And this company has been around for 20 years, and they have a patch technology that activates your stem cells, your own stem cells.
That's cool.
Through a process called GHKCU.
Okay.
So, I was wondering if you ever had a chance to look at the.
I didn't, but can you? It was a large lift to work, take care of the kids. Wife was out of town this week. Get everybody in a MailChimp, get this started. But if you can resend that to me, put it at the top of my inbox, I'll take a look at it, and then and we can spin back. It's actually one thing I've never done, which is stem cells. But my partner Cody fucking swears by it. So
yeah, this company and the founder and the inventor has over, I think, 100 something patents now. He's got certain patches that will help with inflammation. Again, this company doesn't claim to treat, cure, or diagnose any diseases, but the positive effects that I've seen happen with people that have been on this technology are incredible.
Awesome.
So,
well, I'd love to learn more. For sure.
Yeah, it's the GHKCU is a copper peptide that
we were down before.
That upregulates copper in your body, that activates stem cells in your own body. It's nothing that's in the patch. It's non-transdermal, so nothing's entering your body. It's your body's light that reflects a wavelength back into your body that activates everything.
Well, I like that. I like tools that kind of activate your own innate healing power, the body's own innate healing power. So this sounds interesting.
Yeah. And besides the carnosine, they have a glutathione.
I know glutathione. Yeah, the precursor. Absolutely.
Yeah, this activates your glutathione by over 300%.
All right.
For 24 hours, as opposed to an injection. It's like a 7-minute half-life. It's in your body and it's out within 7 minutes. So that's something else this company has.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's learn more. Email me.
I'll send you all the information on it.
Yeah. Let's book like a 30-minute call. I'd love to learn more.
Okay, great. Thank
you,
Daniel.
Man. Thanks for coming and sharing.
Go Rangers.
Yeah, yeah. Look at that. Oh no, I can't. It's on my. That's the only jersey up in my office, but don't tell
Well,
Wiz.
they're up 2-0 on the Lightning right now. So
All right, yeah, they're playing well. They're playing well.
Yeah.
Don't tell Wiz
Yep.
though, or else he'll get all mad at me.
Nice.
All right, man.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
too. Dan Fish, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? First of all, I just wanted to say I'm a lifelong Flyers fan, so it's an honor to be talking to you in the first place. So that's kind of cool. But just wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you for, after you figured all this out, not just going on enjoying life, taking time out of your day and all the effort to pour back into everyone else that's dealing with the same thing. Because honestly, like you've said, and I'm sure everyone else that's in the same boat has found, you go to the conventional routes and they have some answers, but if their answers don't fit you, it's kind of like, well, that's all we got for you. So best of luck. I had 3 concussions in the span of like 4.5 years, a lacrosse, a work accident, and a motorcycle accident. The first one I took about 2 weeks and I was better. The second one I got hurt at work was real bad. And I had post-concussion syndrome for about 8 months, headaches, the whole thing. And then when I got another one 2 years later, same thing happened, post-concussion syndrome. And I had gone through therapies that really helped the first time. It was probably like a couple months after I had found them and started doing therapy with them with eye exercises and balance and all the different things. Actually felt pretty darn good afterwards. But then when I got the third one, I went back to the same place, did all the same therapies, and I was only about 70% better. But I had already reached the limits of what they could do for me. And then I was kind of on my own. And that was back in 2015. So now we're, 9 years later, and I'm still suffering from, can't sleep, myriad of different things. And I'm just curious about, for someone that's gone down the conventional route and then has tried other stuff and is interested in the whole mushroom thing or one of the ceremonies or, kind of diving into this, where is the best place to start?
I mean, right here, man. This is kind of, here. And then if you email me, I'll what I did was I read like every single study, right? Don't just listen to me. Just kind of speaking from my experience. But I'll give you all the resources to read and to, go and watch the Netflix stuff and, pick up the books and then make your own educated decision. You're your own guru. So yeah, and these studies that I'll send you are from institutions like Johns Hopkins, NYU Langone, and FDA studies, rigorous scientific studies. So, and then you can make the decision. But I will say, like, of the 1,800 or so people on the list, like, I'd say 90% of them, man, are concussion survivors, just because that's who I speak to, and they all deal with the same thing, right? We're all told that we need to just get comfortable living a new normal. And I'm telling you, man, like, I'm not living a normal life. I'm living an optimized life. If you look at pictures of me back in the NHL to now, I'm healthier, I'm happier, I'm higher operating, and so and I'm one testament, but you got a guy like Wiz sitting on the couch who's another testament, former veteran. We'll say hi to him after we address Roddy, but
honestly, I believe it, because I watched, I don't know what video, it was a couple days ago, and then I reached out and emailed, and it was one of kind of like the time lapse videos you would put together with different pictures, and then from before and then after. And I was watching that video. It was like late night, and it almost got me like emotional, because I was seeing the pictures of you in that state where it's like you're trapped in that invisible jail cell, right? Nobody else can see what you're feeling, what you're thinking, but you're just not yourself. You're not there, and you're like stuck,
just uncomfortable.
I could see the pictures of you in that, and I felt like I was looking at myself. Seeing the pictures of you and then seeing the after pictures. So,
well, and I will say, Roddy, like, I didn't just show up on your algorithm by fluke, right? So like, and you're not, people don't come to these meetings and ask these questions if they're not ready to, there's a saying like, this medicine calls you, it's not, and trust me, man, I am not, we're not here to necessarily sell something, right? Like my job now is to show people that I can, of like how I'm living my life. And if people are suffering right now, whether it's concussion or other trauma, and you want a piece of what I have, like you can fucking get it too, man. I can show you how to do it, and then you can go and show somebody else. Like that's the goal, right? That's what Wiz does. That's what other people do. It's like, so you gotta, in order for me to keep a lot of what I have, and I've been doing this in various stages, I have to give it away, and then yes, of course, I'm gonna, like, when I go to retreats and I set up retreats and I see people through these things, of sat with, around 300 people over the last 5 years, like it's the best thing ever, man. So that's what this is, and that's why you're here. There's no coincidences. So, stick around, and if you're, happy to send you any information that you request, and just appreciate that you're here, dude. And
Absolutely.
It can get better, man. I'm telling you, it can get better.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, who we got? We got Roddy. Roddy already did it. Oh yeah, Roddy, what's up, man?
Man, all good, and you?
How are you?
Good. I joined a little bit late, just got back from the road, but
Oh, good. Thanks for coming.
I caught my attention with the MDMA and the psilocybin part.
Uh-huh.
Wanted to ask you if you were familiar with sassafras or MDA.
I've heard of it. Yeah, is that the legal, like, kind of plant, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like MDMA without certain side effects of it. And
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
had quite a bit of experience with that and psilocybin back in California, and it was a great combination. I like that you actually brought that up with MDMA and
Oh, at the
psilocybin.
retreats. Yeah. Well, maybe one day you come on one of these and you educate everybody about what that is, because I don't know enough to speak to it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Cool, buddy. Well, good seeing you.
Yeah, we'll talk
Good
soon,
talking to
brother.
you the other day. I'm sure I'll see you soon, my friend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would love to bring on Wiz. Wiz, you want to say hello to everybody before we start wrapping this thing down? Wiz is a really, really good friend. Somebody that I've come to know and gotten really close with over the last 2.5, 3 years. And I won't steal his thunder, but can you say hi to everybody and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, brother. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. And thanks again for leading with your heart and your truth, man. You can never go wrong. Yeah, I run the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. So about 3 years ago, if any of you have seen the movie Lone Survivor, with Marcus Luttrell, I went down to Mexico because I was kind of at the end of my rope too, man. I could not have been more separated from my wife, my kids, my God, and a mission, going from a fighter squadron to Wall Street and all that type of shit kind of really, I kind of lost a lot of the brotherhood, started hitting the drugs, started hitting the booze, and a lot of dark nights of the soul, man, on some bathroom floors. And I was at the bottom of my rope, man. And around that time, I found out that, 22 veterans were taking their own lives every day. And I said, holy shit, that's literally a school shooting. There's 22 to 44 veterans being massacred every day at their own hands. So I said, I'm going to do something about it. And I had no clue what I was going to do, and found out through a mutual friend that, hey, these guys are going down to Mexico to do some drugs. And I said, go to Mexico and do some drugs with Navy SEALs this weekend? Shit, that sounds like a great time. But I had absolutely no clue what I was in for. And it saved and changed my life. I sat with a medicine called Ibogaine, and also did 5-MeO DMT. And I got back from that trip and I was a completely different human. Well, I was the same human being, but I was healed. I knocked all the shit off, all the drugs, the alcohol, the shame, the regret. And I said, this is how I'm going to end veteran suicide. So God put you and I together, and Cody, 3 years ago ish. And I'm just honored to be in the same squadron with you guys to, be putting the ladder down to save and change lives. So psilocybin's incredible for anybody facing addiction issues. Man, I couldn't even look at alcohol Cody and Daniel, I couldn't even look at alcohol for 8 months after sitting with Ibogaine. It is a massive addiction interrupter. Before I jumped on the air right here, I was reading an article today in the New York Times, Dr. Martine Polanco, and a big article in the New York Times today about ibogaine. So there's a lot of different medicines. You know, if this, like Daniel said, if these medicines are calling you, reach out to him, me, or Cody, and we can kind of, we're not doctors. I think I played doctor for a couple of Halloweens. That's about it. But we can tell you about our experiences, right? And we can maybe kind of give you our input and stuff like that. So psilocybin, ibogaine, ayahuasca, maybe even some 5-MeO DMT. The bottom line, you know, I don't want to go all night because I'm watching the Panthers here, is healing is possible, folks. Daniel's evidence of this. I'm evidence of this. He and I, you know, veterans, athletes, high performers, man. And you know, as Daniel said, or I'll tell you, I feel like I'm robbing a village somewhere of an idiot. But these medicines have incredible healing capabilities. So if you're feeling a little down and out, man, God put these plants on this planet for a reason. And ibogaine, ayahuasca, you know, psilocybin, these plants have been used for thousands and thousands of years. And it's kind of, you know, we're a little elite in the West, aren't we? Like, we just found these things and let's test them and put them in beakers and shit. And you talk to a medicine woman, or a, you know, in the middle of the Amazon, or a shaman working with ibogaine in Gabon, they look at you like, what the fuck's a beaker and a lab coat? You know, we can tell you how this stuff works. So, you know, I get it, FDA, and let's make sure everything's kind of done right. But if you need some healing now, reach out to Daniel or me or Cody, and we can kind of put you in the right direction. But thanks for everything you're doing, my brother. I'm honored to call you a squadron mate and a best friend.
Oh man. Yeah. My third nickname is Commodore. And that was,
I forgot to say that earlier when you were going through your call signs. You're the fucking Commodore, man.
I know, I totally forgot.
Well, it's better than Rear Admiral. It could have been Rear Admiral. So
yeah, that's Cody's nickname. It's Cody's nickname. You know, Wiz is, yeah, he's an amazing guy. He does a lot of amazing work. He's a part of our social equity plan that's going to be in Oregon. You know, treating vets, treating first responders, to try to end suicide and their family members, I think is really important. One thing that we haven't touched on, and I'm sure my wife would love to come on here and talk shit to you guys one of these times about the stuff I put her through and what she had to see, and then what she sees now. I think it's really important, right? The transition, which is a nice validation. You know, let me just look at this chat. I think we're good to go. I think this was a really successful first go around, boys and girls. I'll post this. Everybody's cool with it. To the YouTube channel. You know, Matt Curran, Brian, Cody, Chris, Matt, Wiz. There's going to be people that, you know, all these people are in my life and help support everything I do. So thank you guys and for being here, and then they're going to be helping to build this thing out. But we want a lot of input from the community too, right? About like what's working, what's not, because you know, it really does take each of us, because this is your own journey. You know, or Kyle's here too. I thought I saw Kyle Quincy, who's a really good friend. We beat the wheels off each other since minor hockey, and 6-7 years old, and he's been doing some amazing work out in Colorado as well since recovering. So you know, there's lots of people here to help support. No one person has the answer. And if we don't have the answer, just like with Roddy, I don't know shit about sassafras. I'm not going to pretend to know it, right? Like let's bring on a professional that could educate all of us, or Roddy could educate us. If there's topics that you guys want to hear about, things that you want us to talk about, you know, head into the broadcast channel, post it there, or just email me. If I see it twice or 3 times, then I'll probably try to bring on a professional in the future here. We get a little bit of an exchange. I always want a Q&A session because I think that's the most meaningful, and we'll go from there. You know, like I said, this is great, and I get a lot out of this, man. So thank you guys. Thank you to everybody for being here, and until next time. All right, boys and girls.
Thank you, brother.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care, guys.
Night all.
See you guys.
Thanks, man.